What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Post Credits Podcast, a show where we are lucky enough to talk about movies with you. This is episode 48.
48.
48, recorded on September
48.
21st, 2025, to get posted to podcast services on Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025, to the usual spots: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, and then YouTube. If you're listening to us on an audio-only version, feel free to come on over to YouTube. Check us out there as well. You can watch full episodes, or we have everything time-coded out. We try to snip out some interesting segments. So far, leading the charge in our segments is short about Sasquatch. So if you're curious, check it out.
I told my online friends that as well, and they thought that was very funny.
Good.
So.
Good. Big feet. However you choose to enjoy us, thank you very, very much. This is episode 48, though. We're 2 away from the big 5-0. I have some ideas rattling around in my head, but
Nice. Very cool.
we got some. We might do something special to commemorate that episode.
This is news to me, people, and I'm a part of the same podcast. So
He is.
buckle up.
It is indeed. I'm one of your hosts, Grayson Maxwell, and joining me as he does every week is the lovely Chris Bond.
Yeah.
How are you, Chris?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a wonderful. We record on Sundays before this comes out on Tuesdays, so it's a wonderful Sunday. Went to a birthday party today for kids, and a bunch of 7-year-olds doing 7-year-old things is a lot to handle for multiple hours. So I'm happy to be back. There we are.
Roger is not with us today. He went hiking. No one's heard from him for a while. So
you know what? I think
he
this
might
will
be
lead to
dead.
more Sasquatch stuff.
That's what I was going for. Roger will come back with a definitive word on Sasquatch for everyone. He will put the debate to rest for good.
Of all people, Roger will come back with the evidence we need.
He will. He'll walk in with his Crocs. Yeah, he definitely will. That man loves his Crocs.
He's hiking in his Crocs.
Yeah, indeed, sir. Let's do a show, shall we?
Yeah.
What's going on with you this week? What is going on? You're in the same blue shirt as you were a few days ago, Chris.
So legend has it, people do laundry multiple times a week. So if you have a problem with double blue shirt, then that's fine. But either way, it doesn't bother me a bit. Plus, they haven't invented smell-o-vision yet, so there's a callback since I'm 67 years old. So there you go.
Smell-o-vision, jeez.
Yeah.
I have 2 comments about that. The first comment: do you remember when you were in like elementary school, how back in the days of like you still had paper put in front of you? You know, back in the olden days, unlike kids today, everything's on a tablet. Yeah. Do you remember like talking about the future, and you were shown pictures and like you'd color in things, and it was looking, everything is all like shiny and Jetsons and flying cars, and nothing's ever been other than what it's always been. Like nothing changes.
Maybe in the U.S. have you looked at like places like China and some of the technology things that are happening like India and stuff? It's kind
They
of
have flying cars.
I mean,
mind blowing when I'm walking around LA and like I see the robots delivering food. That blows my mind because it's like it's unaccompanied on the sidewalk, and the restaurant puts the food in there, and then they send the recipient a code, and it just goes on a path to where the recipient lives, and then they put the code in, they get their food, and that's it. And
but
that to me is mind blowing.
That depends heavily on like the goodness of people. So I don't know how successful that business model is, but I mean, like that's like Jetsons light, right? You know what I mean? They're like we're getting there. So
it's like 1% Jetsons. We're on the first stepping stone towards Jetsons. Because you remember, Ford promised us hover cars by year 2000, like the early 80s.
He said that in like the 1940s or something. You know what I mean? So 1960s.
They've missed the mark. They've missed by a quarter of a century already. They've missed the mark.
I mean,
it is.
You can't be a visionary without looking forward, right?
Sure. Sure. What was your thing I was going to say about that? About I don't even know what the other thing was about.
I don't know. It's fine. We probably avoid that. Did you watch anything this week beyond like what we like talked about on the show?
I did. I watched a few things. What did I watch? I watched some horror movies. I'm obsessed with horror movies right now. It's such an art form to me because they're simple, and I'm trying my hand at. I'm working with another writer in LA, another friend of mine, and we're trying to get one. We're trying to get one moving, and we may have found a formula that works
Cool,
for,
cool.
or sorry, a setup for one that works. He's got connections to
Yeah,
the studio reader, and we may actually get something pushed forward in the near future. I hope.
that'd be cool.
So I've been watching a
Yeah.
lot of horror movies to get
The
some kind of ideas percolating.
the horror genre is unique to me because I used to hate horror films, like despise them. I have an active imagination. I'm, a big chicken when it comes to that kind of stuff, especially when it's like nighttime and the house is quiet. But the because after talking on podcasts, with you guys and stuff, I've actually grown to really love the horror genre because of things similar to what you just said, where like no genre has a more like uniquely open palette to work with, and there's this interesting thing where like people that like really care about it, like they seem to do a much better job, or there's you can tell the amount of like work or heart that goes into a flick, it seems, because they're not easy to do well, but the ones that like kind of like find their niche and run with it, it's a unique like set of circumstances. So
It
plus,
is.
if you don't like horror films for the same reasons I used to like, really detest them, they're so formulaic sometimes, like the bad ones. So like I'm never scared anymore. So I don't know. It's been an interesting journey, but horror is definitely something that I've grown to really love talking about movies and like watching them critically. So very
Oh,
interesting.
good. I watched the Free State of Jones again, the Matthew
Mhm.
McConaughey Civil War film about the South, and
Oh
some
yeah.
counties fought back
Mhm.
against the South, and then it was about the racial segregation and everything. And that's actually
Mhm.
I like that movie. I think that movie's very well done.
Matthew
I'm a
McConaughey's
big fan of it.
he's on the podcast circuit again recently. He's been on like a few like of the bigger podcasting shows and such. So I'm interested. Did you find that because it was recommended to you, or did you pull it up yourself, just like
No,
on
I
your
mean
own?
it's on. It's been on Prime. I think Prime. No, Netflix for a little while. No, Prime. Definitely Prime for a little while
Yeah.
now. I've seen. I mean, I watched it. I watched it
Mhm.
3 times in the past six
Yeah.
months.
Okay,
But it's
gotcha.
one I always
Cool.
return to. I like Matthew
Gotcha.
McConaughey when he dedicates to a role. He dedicates to a role.
Oh yeah.
And for that, like I've watched YouTube videos
Mhm.
of him like getting his teeth yellowed and like the hair filled in. Or like it's really
Mhm.
interesting to watch that Hollywood hair and makeup stuff and watch the
Yeah.
magic happen. And it's just it's fun for me. I enjoy it. I get really glued to that stuff. So
Gotcha.
yeah,
Yeah. I
I watched the Brat Pack documentary. The last thing I watched outside of other things was the Brat Pack documentary,
Mhm.
with like all those Charlie Sheen and all those
Yeah.
guys from the 80s with John Hughes film, and talking about how it was like working with it. It's just that stuff is super interesting to me, Breakfast
Yeah,
Club.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's just an era that I'm very fond of. The older I
Mhm.
get and the more I watch it, I grow more and more fond of that era.
Very
So
cool.
that's just, anyway, what about you, Chris?
I actually watched Crazy Rich Asians last night,
Oh,
and I don't know, the movie it's such a it was such a nice quaint movie. I don't know. I really enjoyed watching it. Me and the wife watched it last night. So
for
good
the first
movie.
time each, or
Not for her, definitely not the first time, and for me, it was the first time. So I enjoyed it.
did you enjoy Henry Golding's handsome face over and over on the screen?
Which one's that?
He's the main. Henry Golding is the main. He's the main guy in the film.
Oh, then yeah, I did.
Yeah, he's handsome son of a gun. That guy, handsome son of a gun.
The movie's full
That
of
movie
handsome
shouldn't have
people.
been. That movie shouldn't have been as good as it was, but it's very enjoyable, and it's
It's got that rom com vibe from like back in like the early 2000s. It just
2000s.
works. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? It just works. Like enough happens to where you're like where you're enough different things happen in different places where you're interested. It's not too far fetched. Besides, these people are insanely rich, which this could be canonically true, or it could be
that's
all made
true.
up, but we'll never know because we're not
We'll
that
never know.
rich. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a pretty neat premise. So I enjoyed watching it.
Good. Well, I'm glad you guys. I'm glad you guys are doing. Is that something you and wife have done more of recently because of your
We want
involvement on this?
we definitely watch far more movies than we used to since I started podcasting with you guys. But
Good.
no, like we've always watched stuff together. I think it like the usual like couple thing, like for the for like 17 years now we've been doing that. Started out with us watching like House and Bones. You know what I mean, like way back. And now we watch way more anime than we used to. She's definitely like turned on to it ever since I had her watch a couple things that she really did enjoy. So now we explore that stuff too. So, but we'll watch movies and other TV shows that she British Bake Off started again. So
Dude,
I'm I'm back in the
British
trenches.
British Bake Off is so addicting. I gotta be honest with you. That stuff is oh
We
my
watched
lord.
every season, and
Oh
now
jeez.
my 10-year-old is old enough and she's into it now, and she's mad when we watch without her. So yeah, it's cool.
You guys create a little monster. She's gonna be baking stuff before you know it.
She already does like to bake. She does that already, so it's
God,
good.
you know what's a good show? Bones is an excellent show.
Bones was
Like
definitely good in its era. Oh yeah, good
creme de la
characters.
creme of
Yep.
does just the right chemistry
Yeah.
of it's just like NCIS Bones like ruled the roost for like they're both
Yeah.
still on syndication. Like as Roger says, the older generation really loves
Yeah.
NCIS. I mean NCIS
Oh
is one of the
yeah.
most successful shows ever made. It's
Yeah.
and Bones is like it's still on syndication and they still receive money from that. House, God, what an excellent show that is. Like
I just
I
rewatched
would put the
all of
first
House.
I would put the first season or two of House against anything, against any season, any show, anytime.
I think season 1 through
Phenomenal.
3 is really good, and then the second last season is very good. I just rewatched all of this like a couple months back. I went through the whole thing, like a couple episodes every evening. So fantastic first 3 seasons in my opinion, and the 8th season, not the ninth season. Ninth season was they had the perfect ending, then they went one more time, and they shouldn't have done that.
Same with Scrubs. They should have stopped.
True. Scrubs is
Yeah,
also
like
good.
I love Scrubs, but that like just they had the perfect ending of like
Yeah.
the Turk and JD marrying or
Mm-hmm.
like finally a couple with and like I
Yep.
love the idea that like Turk and JD were more excited about having a kid than the two women were and like they grow up.
Yeah. Yep.
Perfect ending for that show. And they went one step too far, man. Just
Yeah.
going back to that episode on House, I think it's season 4 where he's trying to remember the crash
Oh yeah.
and
Yep.
Wilson's girlfriend Amber is like
Yeah.
I
I think
still
that's
think about
season
that episode.
5.
Is that
Season
season 5? I thought it was
5.
4,
Yeah,
4, maybe 4 or 5.
season 4. Season 4, he builds the team. Season 5 is when is I think when they lose Amber.
What a phenomenal episode.
Oh
And
yeah.
like I love that guy who plays Wilson who is just cuz all House is just Sherlock Holmes. Holmes and
Yeah.
Watson, House and Wilson, like
Yeah.
that's all it is God, what a great I might go back. I
Yeah.
might start watching that again. I've been thinking
You
about it for
should.
a while, but that
It's
might be
good.
the
But
Mm,
we are on a movie podcast,
we
and
are indeed.
we have
Let's
some
do
stuff to
it.
talk about.
Actually, one last thing I want to say is I've had
Yeah.
2 conversations now after talking our episode on
Mhm.
Infinity Castle,
Yeah.
Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, and my brother's really into anime, so
Mhm.
that's another thing that we've recently like connected on was
Oh,
talking
good.
about anime together, and like he's really kind of flabbergasted I enjoyed Demon Slayer
Nice.
because he didn't think I would, but that's
Well.
given us something to talk about. Not that we need a reason, but it's given us another reason to connect
Oh
a
yeah.
couple times
Yep.
a week. So
Awesome, man.
it's
That's good
very, very,
stuff.
very nice, very nice. But let's get
Yeah.
on with the show. Let's talk about some box office. How about it?
Yeah.
After, of course, I remind you that this is episode 48 and a Postgres podcast. And don't forget, if you're on YouTube, to hit that like and subscribe to get all of our antics. More Sasquatch antics, the more you hit like and subscribe. That's for
I
sure.
don't know if that's true, but we would appreciate it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
It would indeed. Talk about some box office. Pretty disappointing, very disappointing box office this week. Not like
Mhm.
last week. Like Demon Slayer still did very well. Number 1, Demon
Mhm.
Slayer Infinity Castle. 17.3 million for a worldwide of 555
Woo.
million.
Nice.
The
Very cool.
international is 450 and the domestic is 104. So
So there's there was something that came out, an article that I peeked at, and it's Demon Slayer Infinity Castle is now Japan's second highest grossing film of all time,
wow.
behind Mugen Train, as its number 1 grossing movie of all time. So Demon Slayer in their movie making space is now their 1 and 2 highest grossing films they've ever put out,
Well, good. I
domestically
mean,
and internationally. That's cool.
I,
Good for them.
I hope that means we get more of those type of movies. Diversification is always a good thing. Number 2, the movie of the week, Him, 13.5 million for worldwide of 13.8.
Mhm.
So the domestic total for that is 13.5, and the international was 362,000. So I don't know where it must have only opened in like one market somewhere that,
Yeah,
but
somewhere
it's
else.
not doing well. But we're going to talk about that one
Mm.
in a little bit. Number 3, The Conjuring: Last Rite, still holding on strong. It came out at the beginning of the month, 13 million for a worldwide of 399, a skosh short of 400 million.
What is a
Num-
scotch?
a skosh. It's like a pinch of Tim Allen on Home Improvement always says a skosh.
A
So I just picked it
scotch.
up.
All right.
Number 4, Downton Abbey, the grand finale, 6.3 million for worldwide of 59 million, just a tad below 60. Although we know that the budget for that was like 13 million or something,
Yeah.
14.
Can
So
you believe
it's
that someone
done
on
well.
this? Can you believe that someone on this podcast said that was going to make 300 million? Can you believe
No, I
that?
did not. I'm outing myself.
Crazy.
I did not. I thought it would make a ton of money. I did not think 300 million. But number 5, The Long Walk, also 6.3 million for
Oh.
25.5 million. I
Hmm.
am. I have to say, I think I'm a little disappointed in that number. I'm a little disappointed in people not watching that. Maybe it's
Yeah.
got something to do. I don't think it's the concept that's got people turning off.
Well, the
I think
rated
it's
R
a
thing doesn't help.
well rated R. I think it's a combination more of the time of year and so much going on that that movie just kind of fell
Yeah.
because there wasn't a lot of marketing for it either, and
Yeah.
that's what I thought was weird for a Stephen King
I've seen
adaptation.
some reviewing networks and people's give it 10 out of 10, and I don't think it's that good.
Mm.
I think the movie is something you should watch, honestly, but I don't think it's 10 good, but
It's got
it's
some
pretty
very
good.
poignant, very relevant ideas for
True.
today.
True.
Maybe that's why they love it so much. It had
Yeah.
the guts to say some things that not a lot
Yeah.
of people do. But six through
We all
10,
enjoy
go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead. I was just gonna say we all enjoyed our time with it, so,
We did.
it definitely is, it definitely is worth more than the 25 mil that it's making.
6 through 10 are as follows, and I'm disappointed with number 6, A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey.
Ah.
I saw it. I loved it, but
Oh,
that
yeah?
movie is tailor made for someone like me who loves to
Gotcha.
cry and get emotional. Um, number 7, The Senior. Number 8, Toy Story re release. Did quite well, still in the top 10. Number 9, Sight and Sound presents Noah Live. And 10, Weapons. Weapons randomly still in the top 10. Let's check
Hey,
in with
that's
Weapons
alright.
for a second. That's done a worldwide of 263, which is none too
Good for
shabby,
them.
I will
No,
say.
yeah, and we discovered the budget's pretty low on that one too, so they definitely made a movie and made some money making a movie, so but Toy Story being top 10 again, right?
Correct.
How it must feel for some of these movies that come out that didn't even break top 10, and all Pixar does is slap their old stuff back out there, and it makes more money than something you put your heart and soul
Yeah.
into. Savage out there, man.
Yeah, and
Crazy.
the marketing for that at AMC at least is doing well because I saw. Oh, by the way, I saw also this documentary on YouTube somewhere about the AMC A list and Regal. While I'm talking about it,
Oh.
Regal now has a competitor, $28 a month, unlimited movies per
Oh.
month. With AMC's, I think is 24 for 4 movies a week. Not that many people can see more than 4 movies a week. Good lord.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
anyway, that's so I just wanted to point that out. But the popcorn bucket and the cups
Mhm.
for Toy Story are pretty rad, man. They have
Okay,
like
cool.
the cups have toppers of you can get Andy, Buzz, or
Huh.
Woody. Not Andy. Sorry, Woody, Buzz, or who's the female Andy? What's her
Oh,
Jessie? Jessie.
yeah, Jesse.
And then the cup lights up. It's really cool. And the popcorn bin is a
Alright,
blue with all the characters. It really very tasteful for Toy Story. I enjoyed
nice.
seeing it. Yeah. So that's I mean, but that's old Pixar too. So people
Yeah,
dig old Pixar quite a bit.
true.
But that judge your box office. Not much surprise. Not a big week. Less than 50 million, I think, total for the. That's not great. But which let's move on. Let's do a movie recommendation.
Woohoo.
Chris, what do you have for us this week?
This week, I would like to. Okay, so I'm going to recommend a movie that was actually written and directed by Jordan Peele, and that's going to be the one that of his movies that I like the most, which is Us. I very much like this film. I know it's not everyone's favorite. It's not everyone's favorite by Rotten Tomatoes metric, Metacritic metric, or otherwise, or the two guys here talking about stuff today. But I like Us a lot. I enjoyed my ride on it. It was one of those movies where when I first started talking about movies more critically, I got to watch it and really like dig into the like just the whole process of like how to make a good movie, and this one stuck out to me. And even though the ending is like where it probably loses a good bit of its audience at the people that are detractors from it, I think the ride all the way up until that point to the very end is still worth it. So good film, creepy, super creepy, has a lot of that horror and the suspense, just perfection in it that Jordan Peele has proven to be really good at, in my opinion. So all on all marks, I put Us high up there on on that like that horror suspenseful thriller kind of deal. So
Well,
Us
Us is
is
a
the
f I think
recommendation.
Us is a very fine movie. I don't think it's I don't the thing is Us, I don't think it has the umph to be anything more than fine, good. I don't think it's got that umph to be great, incredible, or anything else, but I think,
Yeah.
Us is a fine movie. It's very creepy. If I haven't seen
Hmm.
Us for a little while, so I'm going
Yeah.
off my memory from my last viewing, which is
It
not
has
recent, but
I remember uniquely because of its sound design. It has some really good sound
oh,
design, especially
yes.
once you got into like deep into that second act, right before you got to the third act. And something they did with just the music that's playing and then sounds that are happening like off screen, matching things that are happening elsewhere. It was very well done in that regard too. It was just very cool, like how it was all put together, in my opinion.
That was 2019, directed by and written by Jordan Peele. And
Hmm.
listen, I forgot about this cast. Listen to me, Lupita Nyong'o, Winston Duke. Already, I'm sold. Those two are
Yeah. Right.
fantastic.
Yep.
And then Elizabeth Moss, which the next year she had The Invisible Man, which another smash hit for
Yep.
Elizabeth Moss. Yahya Abdul Mateen II, he's incredible too.
Hmm.
This has a
Agreed.
very good cast,
Oh
and
yeah.
I always forget how good that cast. Noel Sheldon, Evan Alex, like it's just like the kid. It's phenomenal. I like the cast more than I like the movie, I will say, but
That's fair.
we're going to talk about Jordan Peele in just a little bit. So
Hmm.
let's keep the wheels going though. But good recommendation. Us is a very fitting movie for this
Yeah.
week.
I appreciate that.
Let's move into Jordan Peele
Okay.
a little bit. And I only say this because you and I were talking before we started recording. Is Jordan
Mhm.
Peele's name is all over this thing? Him
Yeah.
as they wanted his name to be associated with this movie, and I can after seeing it, I totally understand why. But let's talk about Jordan Peele and why putting his name on something like this would have mattered or should matter in the long run.
Okay.
So let's go. He has his list of directed movies is far shorter than other movies he's been involved in and produced, and not to mention the Key and Peele shorts. And
Yeah,
he's a
yeah.
very funny man when he sets his mind to it. A very very
Mhm.
funny man.
Agreed.
He's so of his directed films, he's got one upcoming. It's an untitled Jordan Peele project, but there was in 2011 he did a Battlestar Gefractica, which I don't think is.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm literally just looking at IMDb, but
Yeah.
um, I think where his director career started was Get Out in 2017, which that's my favorite of the three. I wasn't big on Nope. Wasn't big on huge on Us. I loved Get Out. I thought Get Out was
Okay.
a very good start to a career. And then there's Us in 2019, which we just talked about, and then Nope. Like it or hate it, that movie is creepy. That movie is very
Yeah.
creepy. 2022.
Okay. So I think I go opposite of you. Well, not opposite, but like Get Out is my least favorite of his films, but not I don't dislike it by any means. It's just like if I had to stack the three up, that would definitely be on the bottom of the pile compared to Nope and Us. So I don't know how his Battlestar Fractica went or whatever the hell that was called, but I'm sure it's just fine. But yeah, out of his three films that he has written and directed, I mean, he's one of those. So he has such a short list so far, but like a very effective list, right?
It
I don't
is.
think any director would be upset with the scoring and the just the discussion that happens with you know a director with so few titles to his name right now, but like so highly recommended and such too. The funny thing is like when you look at the IMDb scores and not IMDb scores, but the Metacritic scoring and the Rotten Tomato stuff, like critics love Jordan Peele. The audiences are kind of split on whether they like him or not. Is like the way it usually turns out. So you could say, the perception is Jordan Peele is more pinkies up kind of movie making. Yeah, so something like that. But I do think that it's just a lot of it is expectation, I believe, because the way movies are kind of like advertised to you, like in trailers and teasers and all that kind of stuff, where like and especially the kind of movies that Jordan Peele makes, it's very easy to get into your head what you think you're going to go see, and that it isn't that, right? Like I think Get Out, Us, and Nope are all very different movies than what like the trailers sell them as. Are they all kind of creepy? Yeah. Are they all thriller horror esque? Yeah, but I don't think anyone saw the trailer for Nope and nailed what that movie was like, how that movie was going to play out when they went and saw it. You know what I mean? Not a soul. And I think the same, probably the same for us, honestly, because that movie does go down some weird storytelling routes. So I do think that's probably what a lot of the negative, where the negative reviews and scores on Rotten Tomatoes and such from like the user side of things comes. The critics, they tend to, they tend to gear more towards the more artistic view or the underlying notions and all this stuff too. So it doesn't surprise me the way his scorings are split. And honestly, I don't think there's a problem with the way they're split. I think it all comes down to like, as you go forward, I think more and more people will understand his style, and there will be less and less kind of qualms with what they're seeing on screen compared to what they thought they were going to get.
I can see that. I mean, it's very easy to tell Jordan Peele has he has a certain kind of thing he likes to make. Even looking back and stuff he likes to be involved in, it's all kind of in that same vein. Some of it strays a little bit. For instance, Monkey Man
Hmm.
with Dev Patel. We loved Monkey
Hmm.
Man
Yeah.
when we watched it. We all, Chris, you and I, we all were very sorry, Roger, you and I, we talked very highly of it. Um,
Hmm.
there are some other things too. Let's talk about Keanu is kind of one of those. This is in his producing. I'm just
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
some of his career. The Key and Peele series is pretty generally loved. I think people really enjoy them together. I think they're the best when they're together. If I'm being
Hmm.
honest, I love them together. I think they just feed off each other, and there's that infectious, funny, and that energy. Just I think it works and it works.
Hmm.
Keanu, I think people really like that. And the first time I really knew who Key or Peele was as like someone to keep an eye on was Get Out. And then he was a producer on Black Klansman with
Hmm.
Adam Driver, which I loved. And
Okay.
Washington, what's the Washington? I forget the guy.
Denzel.
No, no, no. The younger, the younger one. Sorry.
Yeah.
John
Yeah.
David Washington.
Mm.
A very good pair in those two for Black Klansman. I love that movie quite a bit. Let's go up a little bit, and then he had Us a year later after Weird City, and then I forgot about the Twilight. That's what I was looking for. He has this weird obsession with the Twilight Zone. Peele did, but
Oh
that
yeah.
makes sense given Get Out, Us, and Nope. That makes
Yeah.
total sense. Like
Yeah.
100% makes sense.
Absolutely.
He was involved in Lovecraft Country, Candyman, Honk for
Lovecraft.
Jesus, Save Your Soul. That one's kind of out there. Doesn't really fit in the rest of them, but I mean, he might have been something he was just attracted to. Then we had Nope
Hmm.
in 2022, and then he also is involved in Hunters. He's listed as a producer for Hunters for 3 years. That show with Al Pacino, I'm talking about
Yeah.
on
Hmm.
Prime, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yes, and then
Interesting.
Monkey Man, which I thought Monkey Man was a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and brings us to him after a
Hmm.
few more things in between. But it's very he's a producer on him, and it's very much in the same vein as the other as his written and directed three.
Hmm.
So I mean, I'm sure a lot of people out there assume this is his movie as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the fault of just the way this thing's been marketed. Whether that's by his kind of his driving hand or just the whatever company's doing the marketing work, for them. It you wouldn't know this wasn't Jordan Peele's movie unless you unless you dig into it. You know what I mean? Which like a certain sect should absolutely be doing their due diligence to make sure they're representing like their reviews and critique correctly. But like at the other side of things, just some guy going to the movies after they saw, one commercial for this, on network television on a football game, like, they're gonna get hoodwinked. It's like it's
Of
just one of those
course.
things where it's like, yeah, I mean, this definitely feels down that same vein of what Jordan Peele, like, what he writes and directs. But I do think that, the word producer in large words would have been, an honest way to kind of frame this thing. But
Well,
I
but I
don't
mean
work in
that's
marketing.
but marketing is what it is, and I I'm of two minds of thought. It has to be one of two ways. The studio knows what they have, and they
Mhm.
market it a certain way to make sure that they get stronger ticket sales than what they think they're going to get, which is probably what happens. Or
Mhm.
they just simply, and this is the altruistic path, is they simply loved Peele's involvement and just wanted to upplay him. Now, I don't think it's that one. I
Okay.
think it's the first. I think it's they're manipulating someone's manipulating an audience to see
Eh,
that. Now, if you play
yeah.
that during a football game, like you said, which I'm sure it's been advertised a ton for the fall lineup for the
Mhm.
sporting events, is you show you show this movie, kind of the weirdness of it, which we'll get into when we talk about the movie. But then you flash Peele's name, people are going to associate, of course.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
I
yeah,
like
yeah.
Peele's movies. I'll go see this one.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. So I saw this on Saturday
Okay.
afternoon, and it wasn't. My auditorium was empty.
It was me and one other dude. Like, that was
Well, I
it.
get that in the Ohio Valley. I come to expect that most
Okay, yeah, yeah,
depending on
fair.
unless the movie's massive. But here in LA, it's been a while since I've been even like a random Tuesday afternoon, if I or a Tuesday night or after work Wednesday night. There's usually far more people than
Yeah.
were in my Saturday afternoon, my Saturday 1 p.m. showing of this movie. It's just there's something isn't right, and word of mouth I think has destroyed this thing
Hmm.
quite a bit. I would imagine.
Hmm.
I can see that I know that reviewers are not kind to this. I haven't dug into any of them. I of course because this show I looked into the Rotten Tomatoes and the
Yeah.
Metacritic. Neither one are kind. So, but
Oh,
we'll get
okay.
to
See,
that in a little bit.
I haven't seen that yet, yeah.
But also, I don't like people placing too much emphasis on that. I don't like people letting other people doing their thinking for them.
Hmm.
That's not a good thing for people's to ever get
So,
into the habit of.
I think the biggest thing for me, and that's only just because I've been talking about movies in a critical way for a large swath of time now. What'd you call it? A schlep? What'd you call it earlier?
A skosh.
A skosh
A
for a large
skosh.
for a large skosh of time now. Um, I it always tips me off when you don't get the reviewer like network blast happening like long before it comes out. Like I'll see them come on like my social media feeds, my YouTube feeds, and it's like I don't watch them. I try to go into every one of our shows that I haven't watched, like watch that stuff first. But like I see all my usual suspects pop up with like their reviews or like their comments on it, and it's like when it comes out the day before, the day of, it's like, oh, they don't nobody. It's like that's always a decent sign for me that this probably isn't going to be worth much of my time. So, and this one kind of passes that test because they didn't lift the embargo very early on this one. So it's
No.
always when like you get like half of a week or a whole week in advance where you can get people are putting their reviews out there. It's like, oh, okay, they want people to know about this one. So that's the way I usually
Well,
see it.
and AMC was offering points. They did this with the long walk as well. They offered additional points if you watched it
Hmm.
between like I think Thursday night and Sunday morning, like up till
Ah,
like
yeah.
3 p.m. on Sunday. They offered you like 1,000 additional AMC points, which isn't it's not that's nothing, but it's a little incentive. But they only ever
Yeah.
do that when a movie's not going to be successful at all, or when a movie's
Mm,
massively successful and they're trying to add to the
yeah.
ticket sales. But usually it's a bad thing when I see
Yeah.
that pop up, and it usually tracks with movies that are not popular. So,
Gotcha. Well, yeah, because they're trying to because movie theaters they need people to go see these things whether they're good or not, right? To keep their
well, movie
keep
theaters. I mean, this is I want to do an episode in the near future about prices and kind of the
Mhm.
movie theater ethos between the three of us and see what we come up with. Because I mean, my theory of the movie theaters is not a good one. It's they're shooting
Oh.
themselves in the foot. They are their
Mm.
own worst enemy when it comes to marketing. They don't know what they're doing. Absolutely do not know
Hmm.
what they're doing. And this coming from someone
Interesting.
who worked in a movie theater for 20 years,
Yeah.
in and out, different chains. They always make the same fucking mistakes, all of them. But we'll get to that
Mm.
in another episode. But I think
Yeah.
they're as much to blame as anybody else.
Gotcha.
It's even just
Oh,
to
you
bring
could be
up
right.
something like A list. Now we talked about
Mhm.
A list, half or maybe 15 minutes ago about A list. I think I pay $25 a month because I'm in Los Angeles. I think it's much cheaper where you guys are. I think it's like 20.99 or 21.99.
Mhm.
You get 4 movies a week, 16 a month. But I pay like 24.99, maybe 25.99. I don't know
Mhm.
which, but for me that's worth it. Now for the average person who watches one movie a week, if that is that price worth it?
One movie a week would be because like so every time I go, I get a ticket and I get a small Coke Zero, right? So like it's like 17 and some change. So if I'm going every week, it's definitely worth it, right? Because 2 movies and I've made my money back,
Sure.
after that. But the thing is, most people aren't seeing one movie a week. The majority of people that hold this kind of stuff, they're going 2 times a month maximum.
Maximum.
It's
Right.
more like once every month, month and a half is your average moviegoer. So it's never worth it for that crowd. So you have to find a way to incentivize people to go,
But how do you
and like
do it,
get
you know?
well, you have to incentivize them with ways that get them more than just come see more movies, I think. But it's hard to do that. But the thing that, what are your highest markup items, right? You know, those are the things that you can afford to lose money on too, though, if you have to. If you had to choose something to lose on, it's always going to be your highest markups.
Of
So
course.
they have
Popcorn and
they have
soda,
they,
100%.
they have to find they have to find some way to bite the bullet if you want to get more people to if you want the person that comes once every 1.5 months to come once every half a month. You need to make that worth it to them. And 20 some dollars a month, to watch, one movie a week, that ain't gonna do it for those people.
Well,
They need a reason to keep their memberships is what you need.
it's half in, half out because, I mean, I love being able to literally anytime I want, wherever I am, look at the date, the time, and choose my seat. That's a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
one, is choosing my seat is that's a big deal, and with the app, it makes it quick, simple, you just go, 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 and you're done. But, I mean, that's
Hmm.
we can do an I wanna do an episode on this in somewhat near future, maybe before the end of the year about pricing and everything and just kinda just
Yeah,
talk about movie theater ethos, about
yeah.
how they are, the pathos, and what's the other one? There's ethos, pathos, and one other one. Average the way to anyway.
Ego.
Okay, is it?
No,
Um,
it's not. I'm making fun
no,
of it,
it's not.
but it's
No,
fine.
ethos, pathos. I don't know. You threw me off. I was like, oh yeah, it's definitely ego. Like nope. But one time in the near future. But yeah, I would agree. It's just it's weird.
Hmm.
With using marketing to get people, and then of course people feel jaded. I think by
Hmm.
movies like him, and they get upset that they wasted their afternoon. Well, they see it as a waste. I don't quite see it as that, but
Yeah.
a lot of people might see they were hoodwinked and that movie sucks, bro. And bad word of mouth is awful for a movie. It is terrible. The
Yeah.
internet is the worst thing in the world for a movie. The absolute
Hmm.
worst. It's because you can never. What's that phrase? You can you can please 100% of the people 0% of the time. You know that thing
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
telling. Yeah, yeah. But you can never please 100% of the people all the time, or some. I don't know how that
Yeah.
phrase goes, but it's just I don't think this movie is like -1
Hmm.
bad, but I mean, I certainly, if I were Peel, bringing it back to Peel, is I
Yeah. Yeah.
would definitely not want my name on this movie.
Yeah, that's kind of like where I started at with us talking about this part of it is I wonder if it was like his idea or he was all for putting his name on it to get it some buzz, or if this is just some marketing team slapping his name on it so that his marketing team so that it might get more traction for their production company. But like you said, this movie isn't kind of like it doesn't feel like that top critic shelf kind of deal that the Peel movies usually attract to it. So
But that's just it. If it's his decision, then I
they might
feel that I
they
shouldn't think too highly of him because he's
It might
just, "Oh,
not be
throw my name on it." He's just doing it
it
as
might
a
not be his decision. It might
I'm
be
sure it
just
is though. That's the thing. I mean, he's a
well,
producer of this. He
yeah,
produced it.
but, like, at the
So
same time, how many times is someone in charge, they get, like, 8 or 9 things on their desk, and they just gotta say yes or no to them, and someone says,
sure.
"Oh, your name," the marketing guys wanna know if you want your name on the him movie, and he's like, "Yeah." Like, that's all he may have, like, had a hand in that decision making, not, "Yeah, I want it in size 67 font, and make the word producer in 7 font underneath of it in the corner." You know what I mean? Sure the conversation doesn't go quite that way. It's more of a passing business thing more than likely, if anything, is
I
how
would
I
agree
would
with
see
that.
it.
But I mean, does okay? Well, let me ask you this question then before we get
Hmm.
into him itself. Is so if Jordan Peele's four movies were Get Out, Us, Nope, and Him,
Hmm.
would that? I mean that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like
Would it make
it fits right
sense?
in with it fits
The
right in with the rest.
movies,
But
the movie stylizing does live in the same vein. I agree with that 100%. However, I think that if he was making it, I think we get a very different
oh, of
movie
course,
at the end of it. You know what I mean? So, and I don't want to say too much before we talk about the film. So, like, we can save that part. But I think the more interesting question, not that yours wasn't interesting, but I think the way to think about it is if Jordan Peele's name wasn't on this thing, how much less money would it have made?
Quite a bit.
You know what I
I mean,
mean?
it only made like 13, so I don't.
You know what I mean? So if his
Yeah, I
name
mean,
isn't on it, if his name isn't on it, there's a chance we see Big Beautiful Journey.
absolutely. Which,
Just
by the
being
way, I
honest.
loved. I loved.
With
Um,
there's a chance we talk about that movie instead of this one. But because Jordan Peele's name was on it, we decided, that this is where we're going to talk at this week. So I think the question of if his name wasn't on it, does this thing make 7 million? Does it make 5 million, or does it
I
still make
think there's a.
13? You know what I mean?
No, I think there's a chance it makes at least like a quarter less. Absolutely, a quarter less, if not
Yeah,
more.
yeah,
It just
I think so.
how much does his name bring in now? But I mean, what I was saying earlier with I don't. I'm upset because now his name won't have the weight next time. It just
I
simply won't be
think
there.
I think people like me, which is an uninformed middle-aged man that talks about movies sometimes on the internet. I'll probably be a little more. I'll be a little more involved in the discovery process of, oh, this guy's name's on it. Let me see where his name's at though, because like it's again,
Yeah.
you know, fool me once, shame on
Hmm.
me. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
how I feel about this one at this point. But that I don't want to bury the lead too far on how I thought about this thing. So
Context clues. If you can't figure it out by now, context clues are everything, folks. Everything. But let's hop into us then.
yeah,
Is
yeah, I
there
think
anything you
so.
want to say about Peel before we go into us about Peel's career?
First, it's not us. This is him. So we'll do that.
Sure,
But
sure, sorry. Yes, yes. Sorry, sorry.
um, the only thing I want to say about Peel, personally, I like his movies, but not for the same reasons. I don't think like all the critics love his movies. I'm not different than everyone, but like that crowd specifically, I think they're attracted to a certain kind of thing that Peel does. I like the fact that when I go into a movie, I feel like there's passion behind it. That's a big sell for me on a lot of different stuff that I'm into. So like I feel that passion when I watch Us, Get Out, and Nope.
Nope.
Like I feel that coming through. That's what I'm attracted to with the way Peele like does his works. So I appreciate that about his movie making, I guess is what I want to say, because I think that's like the strongest part for me as someone who's like excited to go see something that Peele made, because like that passion is what I think brings success to a lot of stuff out there.
Oh, I would agree with that. I mean, no one's going to argue that the production value of those of a Peel main film is top notch. It
Hmm.
always looks amazing. It's the actors are doing what they need to do. The story's got the beats it needs to have. No one's
Yeah.
ever going to argue that. That's like a point that like people are generally going to agree with. I
Hmm.
think about that's why they watch Peel stuff, and I think Peel's done a great deal to whatever Conjuring has done to like bring back the paranormal horror stuff.
Hmm.
Peel's also done to like bring back this like the intelligent thinking man's like or thinking person's kind of a psychological thriller. I think he's done quite a
Hmm.
bit to like bring that back from where it
Yeah.
was, which was almost nowhere. It was almost dead for a while. But yeah,
Hmm.
for what he's done for the genre, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
with that, let's jump into him, the movie of the week. And I know
Go.
that this has been fairly highly anticipated for some time now. A lot of people have been really excited about this one.
Yeah.
However, I was not. If you remember, I was not one of them. I was not big on this one.
True, you were not. It was definitely me and some other asshole that's on this show that was excited about this
Correct.
one. I think it was on somebody's top five most anticipated, which we do quarterly. Catch up with that on our YouTube channel if you guys are interested in going back and seeing just how right and sometimes just how wrong we are.
It kind of ebbs and flows. However, let's get into him.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. But first, some particulars. We have Tyreek Withers as Cameron Cade, Marlon Wayans as
Hmm.
Isaiah White, and then we also have sorry, like jumped around on me, and Julia Fox as um, Isaiah's wife,
Hmm.
Elsie White. Now, there's not a big cast here, but it's written and directed by Justin Tipping. So if you heard the name him and now you're confused, Jordan Peele did not direct this. He did not write it. He just directed. Sorry, he's producing. This is the baby. It looks like of Justin Tipping, which
Hmm.
it's. I don't dislike the setup and the premise of him. I
Okay.
think it's
Okay.
actually kind of an interesting thing here.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, let's talk about some numbers. Rotten
Yeah. Give us some
Tomatoes.
numbers.
Have you seen these numbers?
I have not. I haven't looked at any of this yet.
All right. What do you think the tomato meter would be sitting at? Just
Well,
after seeing the movie, what would you think?
you clued me in a little bit. Tomato is the critic side, right?
Correct.
I'm gonna say 65.
Bro, 28.
What? What?
28. And the popcorn meter, which is the people, that's us, we the people, 58%, which is quite a bit higher and closer to what you thought. So, I mean, there's also that.
I was not expecting a 28 on critic side.
Do you know
Wow.
do you know what the Metacritic is?
Well, with that critic score you just gave, I'm gonna say 38.
38 is correct, sir. You are ding 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 ding. You are
Oh,
correct.
that's right. What do I win? Do I win stuff?
You
I win
win
stuff.
you win
I'll tell
nothing. You
Roger.
win I will tell you you're a beautiful man today. That's your prize. There you go.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right,
You're the exact person I needed that from.
thank you. Oh my lord. All right. Um I
28?
those numbers were pretty low. And
28
something
is crazy low.
something you said earlier about you understand the critics with Peele films are usually pretty
Mhm.
high and the people are down. This is complete opposite. It's
Yeah,
it's a
true.
flip-flop.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know if Peele wants his name on this. When
28.
this comes out on Blu-ray and 4K, I'll bet you Peele's name is nowhere on the cover at all. I'm willing to bet nowhere on the cover of this thing. Nowhere.
That's like
Um,
Ghost Ship levels.
I think Ghost Ship has actually had a better Rotten Tomato than that. I don't. Hold on. Now I have to know.
Yeah, its
Ghost
Metacritic
Ship.
was like 27 or something. I think its
Hold on.
Metacritic was
Ghost Ship
27.
Rotten Tomato. Now I have to know. Ghost Ship.
There ain't
Here
no
we go,
way.
baby. Here we go. Drum roll, please. Load computer. Oh, 14. Okay, half. It was
Okay,
half.
okay, okay. 14. I
Okay.
mean, 14's not that much worse than 28 when we're really
No,
getting
I
into
mean,
that.
once you're below 30, 29 might as well be 1. It doesn't, who cares? It doesn't matter.
That's a wildly low score on the
That is
on that side
incredibly
of
low.
things. All right then. Interesting.
So let's talk about him. Okay, of
Yeah.
course. Bring us in with a thumbs up, thumbs down.
Say that again.
Bring us in with a thumbs up, thumbs down.
Oh, yeah, sure. So, him produced by Jordan Peele. Coming in, what did we approve of it? Did we disapprove? Thumbs up, thumbs down in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah.
I'll never
It's a
say a
thumbs
movie
down.
is. I'll never say a movie is a waste of time. That's one thing I've in my mind. I've committed to never saying because it's not. I don't think it's true. There are people that worked hard on this. The craft. There's always hair and makeup who, even though the movie sucks, they may have done an excellent job. I hate to take that away from everyone in
Yeah,
the
yeah.
craft based on the product, but sometimes it kind of feel that way. But
So
go ahead.
so on that note, like I want to shout out. We were talking about it earlier. I think her name was Kyra Kelly. She's cinematography on this. This movie looks fantastic in so many ways. Visually, the way that a lot of shots are staged, the colors that are on screen, what they're showing you. This thing looks like it could be like a Borderlands movie at points. Like this thing looks really good. And when I say Borderlands in a positive way, not the movie that was out recently, but like just like the visuals are very just stunning. Um, like you said, costume set is like all that stuff. Like the movie should not be faulted for those things. And honestly, this movie had me in the first half, not to make a football reference or a sport reference, but like I was on board with what we were watching leading up to certain points of this film. And then this movie, like I'll talk about it more once we get deeper in the conversation, but this movie does some like a very specific like thing that a good movie doesn't have to do. And it tanks the whole experience for me personally, but that's where I'm at. So I interrupted you. Is there anything else you want to shout out for like, call outs or particulars and stuff?
No, I just wanted to say how I felt about it. I was
Yeah.
going to go into how I felt. I don't feel hoodwinked. I rarely feel hoodwinked.
Okay.
There are movies that one famous one I think of all the time is Man of the Year with Robin Williams. Is that movie was it was the trailer is pure comedy and the movie is not a comedy. It is
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
dark horror. It's well, not the horror, but very
Man
dark
of the Year, that was
comedy
the one where he's
thriller.
like screaming at somebody about like some Emmy that he should have won or something, and like back, I don't know. That was a wild ride of a
No,
movie.
no, Man of the
It
Year
was
was he was up for president, and it was because the both candidates had, I think, Kellogg and Dobbs, the double G and
oh
double
yeah, okay, yep.
double B, that it prioritized all the votes went to the B, and he won because his name was Dobbs and he had the B instead of the double G. So, like Laura Linney knew the voting system was wrong, and Jeff Goldblum was the guy in charge of the voting system, and he's like,
Mm,
I don't. We'll lose all of our stock. You cannot go public. And then they end up trying to kill her. And it's like not a comedy at all. But it's when a movie like when that happens, I definitely feel
yeah.
hoodwinked because I was intentionally misled. I don't feel that I was misled in him. I don't feel like that at all.
Hmm.
I feel I got similarly to the movie I thought I was going to get.
Okay.
It's just differently, if that makes sense. I'm in the ballpark of what I thought I was going to get. It's just
Yeah.
done differently, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, for me, again, this movie feels like somebody who's trying to tell a story has an interesting idea, and then like one of two things happens. They're either so engrossed in the ego of their cool idea that they can't help but tell you about their idea instead of showing you their idea. That, or they get so nervous that their idea is so good that no one's going to get it, so they have to tell you it instead of showing you it. Like that's the way that this movie comes off to me, and it sucks me right out of the experience at the end. And I don't know, like it's, you say that you weren't hoodwinked, but I can absolutely say that I expected something of a different caliber than what I got here. But it's so weird because like there's moments where this movie shines, and like I mean script wise, because I've already talked about like the praises of like the cinematography and some of the visuals, but like there are moments in the script where this thing is delivering a powerful message, or it has a powerful moment, or it has a just a very suspenseful thing that it's doing, and it's doing it well. But then it's weird, and it's almost like off tempo, and it has these strange decisions with characters all of a sudden, and then like they're back to like this movie feels like it has as much identity issues as the characters in the movie. And like I don't think it's in a clever way. I think it's in a way that is jarring for an audience member like myself, because I'm closer to like the average viewer, I think, than like a lot of people that talk about movies. And it's like I'm watching this and I'm like, this is weird. Why is this, or like why is he doing that, or why is she acting like this, or where does the dead body like there's just so many things that happen in this. It's like
Especially when you realized the twist never came,
yeah,
and you're like,
yeah,
okay, well now this is all super weird and doesn't make any
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
You know,
and like
go ahead, go ahead.
it's just like there's this whole discussion of like and rightfully so, that like this could be a whole like a fever dream angle, or like of he's having like hallucination angles, but like
Nope.
there's like a super rich dead white dude at the end of this, and like I'm sure that guy's like worth a lot of money, and someone's be like, I wonder what happened to him, and like is what's gonna happen
Hundreds
next.
hundreds of millions of dollars if the Saviors
Yeah,
they've just won 8 Super Bowls in a row, or not maybe not in a row, but like 8 Super Bowls in the last decade. So yeah.
yeah, there's just so many holes with like this movie, like, and the holes don't like really start showing up to like the end of the second act, or like the whole third act, and it's like once these holes start showing up, like you can fall through any of these things, man. Like they're that big, and there's that many of them. It's just a confusing bunch of stuff at the end of this, where like again my lead up was all right, like it feel like they were talking about you know like concussions and head trauma within the NFL, which is which is an actual thing that like people
Of
should
course.
talk about more and like have a louder voice on. There are some players and ex players that do a lot of charity work for that exact thing, and for good reason. But like this movie feels like at some point it's telling a story about that, and it's like it's having it's doing a commentary on all the dangers there. But then like we're on some weird blood doping immortality, it's the rich guy's fault angle, and like I don't know, this
Well,
movie's, it does some
let's
things.
let's start why okay, well, let me because like you and Roger were actually pretty excited about this
Yeah.
movie.
Oh yeah,
And let
absolutely.
me it's a shame that Roger's out that he chose this week to go hunting for Sasquatch because it's
True.
the Roger is the football guy here, and
True.
he's the guy who loves he gets super excited when football season starts. He's
Mhm.
dialed in, and he would have had an interesting perspective given the
Yeah.
nature of this film. He still would have had an interesting perspective, I think. So it's a shame that because like I know as much about football as I do about cars,
Yeah,
zero.
but, like,
But
but here's the thing, being a guy that doesn't know about football, do you feel like you needed to know about football to
no,
understand
not at
this
all.
movie? I was
No,
gonna
no, no.
say, like, they didn't do anything in that realm that I think is, like, you could apply, like, the idea of, like, money in sports however you want to, right? Or in the coliseum of greatness that men, like, have to go through and, like, all these other things that are, like, being spoken about in this movie just some weird ways. The I do think that we should talk about the cast in the very small cast that we do get, just for a moment with like in regards to like their performances and the characters. Again, small group of people, but I will forever want to see Marlon Wayans act and actually like act on in like a serious role because he's really good in my opinion,
He is.
and he does good in this film too. And then I'm forgetting his name, and I'm sorry about that.
Tyreek
Tyreek. What
Withers.
what was he in recently that we talked
I
about?
know
I
what you
forget.
did last summer. He was
Okay, okay,
Teddy. He was he was
okay.
the
That makes
lovable
a
but
lot more
dumb
sense.
he was lovable but
Okay,
dumb Teddy that thought he could take on the
got it.
killer, and yeah. I was smiling the
Okay,
whole time I thought about Teddy, and I know he did
okay.
last summer. Yeah.
Like both of these performances, like the one and two in this film, I don't think you have I think this movie would be far worse with either of these guys out of the picture here. Like, I don't know who else I would have cast as either of these guys now that I've seen this movie, especially Tyreek Withers. I think he's great in this, and I think
He's
that
key.
he hasn't. No, he's not Keegan Michael Key.
No,
That's the guy that.
I said he's key. Like, his casting is very important for this movie is what I meant,
Yeah,
sorry.
no, I definitely agree. I think I want to shout out like again. My issues with this film have nothing to like. It's so weird to be so low on this movie after I saw it all because like again, it looks great, sound is great. They do some cool stuff with some shots, costumes, color pop. The acting is fine in this thing, right? It's more than fine in a lot of cases. It's just it's all story beat that pulls this thing out for me. It just tanks it all of a sudden.
Well, I mean, the reason I ask about you guys being excited because the premise I think is a strong one. It is something that happens
Hmm.
every day in sports or every year. It's a very famous quarterback is no longer able to do it. So then everyone's wondering, oh, who's going to fill his shoes? And
Yeah,
does that team going to need? Is the guy going to be young enough that the team needs 4 years to get up to speed? And what's the future of that team? I mean, I'm sure every
yeah, yeah,
team on in the league, like their fans go through this multiple times a decade.
yeah.
So it's the idea is there. It's the passing of the torch from one very famous quarterback to someone who's coming up that might actually be the real deal as much as he was and better. He dedicated every hour of the day he can growing up to becoming that person, the goat, the GOAT. That's what the greatest of all time, and
Hmm.
that's the premise.
As the kids say.
It's told in like this movie is to like the Peel kind of storytelling as like King Arthur is to the Guy Ritchie storytelling. It shouldn't have happened.
Mm,
It's a weird
okay.
mix that never should have. Like Guy Ritchie being
Yeah, but
even an Englishman, Guy Ritchie's really doesn't lend to telling the story. I don't think that
yeah, but
the Peel
the
way
thing,
really runs to this
but the
one.
thing is, like, Peele didn't do this, so like, is that
Nobody
really a
produced
mar
it.
there?
But he
Yeah,
put a
okay,
lot of but he's a producer is way more involved than you think they are. I mean,
okay, gotcha.
everyone tends to think like, "Oh, Spielberg, he made every decision on set." I no, he does not. The sound design, all the design, like that's usually like they put it in front of the director and he's like, "Yes" or "No." And like then a lot of people think director does everything. He doesn't. He just or they, whoever, he, she, whatever, but
Mhm,
they are present in the film in the creative decision making. They don't make all the decisions. So
okay.
there you go. But I mean, I feel like I'm going to say something very unpopular. And I may even be wrong, but I feel like this was kind of the situation that we got with The Hobbit. That Peel may have been like in line to direct this and was in the process of making it in pre-production when he stepped aside. I don't know. I
Mm.
didn't do any research, but let me remember with The Hobbit how like Del Toro did all that prep work, and then Jackson stepped in like a month before shooting started, and then made the films. Like
Huh.
even though Del Toro
Yeah.
had all the prep work, but it's it's just one of those things where it feels Peel enough that I can believe that. That's the thing about
Okay.
that is I
Gotcha.
believe
Could be.
maybe that's why he felt his name had to be on it. Is it like it's enough of him that he felt his name had to be there for whatever reason? But
Yeah.
the premise is strong. It's the way it was told that I
Mhm.
think kind of really tanks this movie in a way that, because had the twist come that, spoiler, this doesn't happen, that it was a fever dream, then I would have been far more accepting of this,
Hmm.
and maybe even talked about it as a commentary on how this happens, how sports have become maybe become super too maybe way more important than it should be, or however it happens. But they're for it not playing out like that, you're eliminating a ton of conversation by the water
Yeah.
cooler for people that talk about this movie and try to talk it up. Is it takes a lot of the debate away. You know what I mean? And for a movie, that's probably not a good thing, given today's hard to sell tickets anyway. That's one of the points I wanted to bring up. Another
Yeah.
point is, um, maybe they did shoot it. Maybe they shot the fever dream, because I mean, it seemed like that was where they were going. I mean, that's what was going, and then for some reason they felt it wasn't. They edited it out. Maybe.
They did more than edit it out, though, is the thing. So, like, my biggest problem with this is that, so I alluded to this earlier, but like, this movie feels like it delivers a decent to good ride in acts one and most of act two, but then it's like they were afraid like to let you continue to critically think about the film, and instead they were like, "Hey, all that stuff you were wondering, this is the answer," and like they just show it to you. You know what I mean? They just give it to you like right there, and it's like, oh well, now like there's no more think tanking it. There's no more wondering about if there's a different message being told underneath of it. It's none of that, because like the movie does this thing where it's like, ooh, we're going to be super clever. And then we're going to tell you exactly how clever we were. And that doesn't feel clever. That feels like you are insecure about like the thing you're doing. It feels like, you're worried that it's too highbrow for your audience to get, or it's not as good as you think it is. So just in case, let me show you. And like that doesn't feel good compared to like the first, half of this movie that I got, which talking about first half, this movie is a tight 90. Like this movie is
Quick.
92 minutes or something. And I eternally thankful for it, because by the end of it, I was like,
Yeah.
like this thing can end now, right? Because I've been shown everything I need to know. Like I was waiting until the credits hit to like see him like sit up in a hospital bed, and you know, sweating and heavy breathing and stuff. Like he was like you said, like some sort of fever dream. But that's not what this is. This movie goes into some weird ass territory,
Well, that's the
and
thing is, it's very Peel. It's very Nope. It's very. Well, I don't want to say Us. It's more Get
it's
Out and Nope
not.
than it is Us. But
It is until you get to like again that third act, and then
yeah, yeah.
it no longer feels that way. And there's a point in the final act where like a woman literally falls down and stabs herself in the neck with a knife. Like the
It's odd.
dumbest shit
Well,
on screen ever
here's
happens.
here's the thing is, you ever hear like someone get excited to tell you a joke, and then like you don't think it's funny, and then they explain it to you, and then you're
Yeah,
like, I get, if you have to explain the joke, I'm
yeah,
not funny. But like that's how I feel this one is.
yeah.
Is there was
No, that's
there's a lot of missing. I
that's
don't
a
know.
good call out, actually. Yeah,
I don't know if this was supposed to be, if like, what if like 30 minutes was edited out of this, and then they had to do something with it? What if this was a 2-hour movie, and what if, it feels like there's stuff missing to me. It feels like part of the recipe was taken out and we're eating a cake that was not fully baked.
I couldn't
That's the vibe
imagine
I
there
get.
being another 30 minutes of this movie. Like by the time we hit the third act, I'm like ready for this thing to like fire on the rest of its cylinders. You know what I mean?
I mean, yeah, it was, like I said, I was in a almost empty auditorium, and it was like people, the few people that were in there, like, they had no problem, like, going to the bathroom and going to concession and, like, they weren't worried about missing anything. So, like, they
the
weren't
wonder
invested.
the wonderfully quiet old man that watched this movie in the theater with me and this one dude, he probably took 7 bathroom breaks.
Yeah,
Like,
but
you know,
you can tell people aren't invested.
shout out to bathroom Bernie, but like,
There you go,
he
bathroom Bernie.
he absolutely like same thing. Didn't feel he had to hang around, you know what I mean? Like he was fine with exiting and coming back in and then, just catching up.
Well, see, I think it's more interesting when they started doing the kind of the racial stuff and
Mhm.
or the black and white stuff and then the religious stuff. I thought that was super interesting. Your screen just went. Are you still there?
Yep.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that was a problem with Zencast or what, but there was super
No.
interesting when they started doing that because I started noticing very intent shots. For instance,
Mm.
there's a sequence where like it's made to look like the Last Supper, which I
Mhm.
thought was super cool in its own way because the centerpiece, which was the Tyree Withers character, was like he was supposed to be the centerpiece, and that's saying a lot because he wasn't the centerpiece. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah, yeah.
he wasn't the Jesus character that, and like there's references to it, and then there's the whole thing with
Well, the
then
team is
there
called the Saviors.
sure, and then Isaiah White, even though it's Marlon Wayans, his last White is all over his shirt, and like
Yep.
they're playing with things that may or
Yeah.
may not be popular, or maybe it's intentional. Or now I can't swear to it, but when he's when I keep calling him Tyree. I should call him what's character. What's the character's name? Oh, Cameron. When
Cameron
Cameron gets
Cage, right?
when Cameron gets a phone call at a party, um, when he gets a phone call at a party, and I can swear I he answers the phone Tom, but I could have sworn he said a certain word before Tom, a familial connection, which has a lot to do with like the racial aspect of it. And the character he was talking to, that makes sense in the
Hmm.
opposite way that, if it's supposed to be a black and white thing of a
Yeah.
black dominated sport or a white dominated sport, and then you're saying something with Isaiah White with being Marlon Wayans and his last name being White, and then Tyree Withers coming in, who's like obviously chosen for a reason, is like you're saying a bunch of things, but I don't think that ever came to a head.
Hmm.
I think the brilliance and beauty of the movie, it kind of got chopped away with an idea that someone might have had that they thought was going to play out in a better way, but you lose me once you lose the aspect of that, or like once you stop playing with all that stuff, I become less interested. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Because like
Yeah.
if I see something that's supposed to be Jesus at the Last Supper, boy, you better do something with it because that's a very iconic, very important iconic picture that you took
Yeah.
time to
Well, I
set
mean,
up.
they
So
kind of do. They kind of do with because like the Cameron Cade character is supposed to be like the actual savior, right?
sure, sure,
He's the one that's coming. That's coming to save all of them and to either die for um Isaiah White's character, or he's going to take on the mantle next and
sure,
be
sure.
be the next guy. So like there is some connotation there that they kind of were using to drive that home. But even more so, like the gladiator like esque arena thing they had going on that comes before Cameron Cade walks out. I think his name's Cameron Cade.
It is.
Before he walks out to meet the council of white folk, and like it's like they're just the whole thing is just plastered in this way that it's like, okay, if this is the way that we're delivering this message in this story, then why is it that there is no titular anchor for the character? Because like we never have one, right? He's on
No,
this journey
we do
alone.
not. You're correct.
So he's on this journey alone, but like the movie sets up like his mother. It sets up like his
His
feelings and like
family, yeah.
the root with his dad, his brother, and even his girlfriend, which he's like it like comes up a few times in this that is like is important to him, and how like they've been together since high school or college or something, and like why is there no anchor character for this guy to play off of or to be like like his center, and like why in the end does he just murder everyone? You know what I mean? Like I feel like there's no story or anything to that besides the violence involved. And it like I understand football is a violent sport, and if it's an allegory to the violence in football, I would I would question like where, you know, the wife falling down and stabbing herself in the neck where that comes in. And then I would question where, you know, not where sparing the life of the one guy just for him to explode from whatever satanic force or religious force pulls him apart on his own. Like, is this signifying that Cameron Cade is because like has fallen from grace and become, the thing that he hates, or has become a different kind of like demon in this sense? Like, there's so many things here that like are that it leaves the question, but not in the way that it wants, that it like that is like intelligent or like smart. It leaves questions that, because you showed me the answers to some of the questions and big ones, you didn't show me the answers to all of them. So like, why are these things still with question marks, but in ways that like, oh well, you told me all this other stuff, so why wouldn't you tell me these answers? Like, does he just go home? Like, what happens next for Cameron Cade, right?
Exactly.
You know?
I mean, of course, we don't. There's no resolution for that. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't
You
even
know?
get a resolution. It's almost like we're cheated out of
Yeah.
of a resolution to a third act,
Yeah.
which we
Like,
sadly need.
are there 7 dead bodies that you're responsible for? And, like, and you got your arm broke the hell up, and are you just gonna now walk home and, like, go,
with
"Hey,
a
mom, didn't
with a sword slung over his
Yeah,
shoulder.
like, "Hey, mom, didn't work out." You know what I mean? Like, what happens next? And, like, what, and if nothing happens next for Cameron Cade, what is the message that you're trying to tell with this movie that seems to be about a message that in the end just ends up being, this young kid with a bright future, not only is he taken advantage of by the people around him, which I think it is trying to say some of that, but, like, he also just screws his own life up and causes suffering for other people. Like, I don't know where this thing was going, and I really
Well,
would have liked it to, if it's going to tell me half of it, for it just tell me all of it so I can understand what you're trying to tell, or tell a different end of your story. Like you said, like imagine there's 30 more minutes to this movie and we get a whole different thing. I think that movie gets a higher rating. I think the longer version of this does better, but I feel like whoever was like, whatever focus group watched this, or when they were screening it, where they had it, they're like, like something made them panic to go, all right, well, instead, let's just have him murder everyone within a span of 7 minutes, and then we'll roll credits. Cool. I just don't think it was a good decision. It doesn't work out the
no,
way that
it
they intended it to. I don't
it
think.
whoever thought they had the light bulb idea, it just didn't. Well, for whatever reason, it didn't play out like someone wanted it to. Because there are certain avenues you got to take, and then I noticed when they weren't doing something, like, oh my god, he's not going to wake up in a hospital bed. We keep saying that, and it happens early in the film. Is like he's this guy that Cameron Cade is supposed to be the next big thing in football.
Yeah.
He's been, and they go out of his way to show that he's very polite. He's nice. He's well educated. He's the golden boy here,
He
literally the
he's an
golden
all
boy.
around good kid, right? Like
That's
he
what
he
they're
really
painting
is.
him as. He even goes up to his old high school, talks to his coach. He's on his field, like he's walking around the field. And again, I kind of get that dichotomy, and I was excited about this. So like he remembers when it was fun, and he's going into a time when it's you need to be paid, so you got to play the game
Yeah.
with like you got to play the money game rather than playing football. And I thought,
Yeah.
okay, well maybe we're gonna get some of that. And then immediately he's attacked, and he wakes up, has to get stitches in his head, and the whole time you're thinking, okay, well, the guy who attacked him was kind of wearing a wonky outfit. Like, we have to bookend this somehow. And then you realize at some point you're not going to get a bookend.
Yeah. Yeah, like
And
it
that's
it
weird.
leaves weird questions, like did he actually get attacked there, or is this just like an injury thing? Like his brain swelled, they had to do brain surgery. Like there's just so many, like there are things here that like this movie would have benefited from some actual like reality grounding, just a little, just a touch of it. That way it could have just said, instead of having some dude in a tiki outfit hit him in the head with a hammer, which the hammer is symbolized multiple times in this movie,
Sure,
and
sure.
which I think is an out is like a symbolism for head to head, like contact in this, but like this tiki guy comes up and hits him with a hammer, but like I think that is I don't think that was an actual guy that hits him. I think it's just signifying the thing that gets in his way, right? But like now I think it was a guy that hit him, because like the way this movie ends, right? So like either this movie was telling a good story early on or it was always telling a bad story. And like the the thing I have in my head is a better story than where this thing ends up. And again, this guy coming up out of nowhere on this field and hit him in the head felt like, a representation of something in his way. But at the end of this, I'm like, oh, so someone just beat the shit out of this kid. Like but it doesn't make sense that that's what happened. It doesn't make sense how it happens. But now I'm led to believe this is what happened.
Well, it's it's
So
it's
okay.
it's when the story is when they've chosen the beats of the story of you have this young quarterback up and coming who might be the next great thing. He's America's all around golden boy. He is, and then he's going to this isolated place to get training from another legend, passing the torch
Hmm.
to him because he's too old and has won 8 Super Bowls for the Saviors.
Yep.
I mean, he might be the goat just in that thing, but I mean, and then if you then say, well, as a storyteller, here's where I want it to get weird. It's like, okay, well, I understand that angle. You're going out in the middle of isolated nowhere, somewhere in the West, and you've got this insanely rich guy who's maybe was on drugs one point, maybe wasn't, kind of not in reality, and then Cameron who has to figure out how to maneuver the minefield so he still gets an
Hmm.
offer but doesn't anger anybody. Like I get that that's the angle they wanted to play. You That's the angle they wanted to play. And if you don't go Peel with it, if you don't go weird with it, if you don't go kind of like there's some things going on behind the scenes, then you get Any Given Sunday, which is the Al Pacino pushing, pushing, pushing. You just get another movie again. And to make this one
Yeah.
different is you got to have an angle that's different. And the angle is different is, of course, the weird psychological demon stuff going on, which is
Yeah.
okay, that's a weird angle. I'll grant you, I'm intrigued, but you lost me. And that's the real crime. And I'll tell you why that matters is you lose someone like me is I'm the guy who's hard to get lost. I'm the guy who
Yeah.
buys everything. I'm the guy who goes and watches Big Bold Beautiful Journey. I'm one of the 7 people that watched it and cried and gets emotionally invested.
Yeah.
And that movie was weird too, and I'll tell you why that matters is that movie also went down some paths I wouldn't have guessed, but it's a movie that takes two very messed up people, forces them to relive some awful, awful moments in their lives, like
Hmm.
losing of a dad, losing of a mom, and coming out the other end whole and ready to start life again. Okay, that's the
Hmm.
story, and I was invested even though I wasn't it wasn't what I wanted. I go to watch him, and I'm the guy that kind of digs this weird what's going on in someone's head. It's an
Hmm.
internal look at maybe looking at football or it's like you lost me, and I was
Yeah.
ready for that move. I was thinking about food. I was thinking about going to Chipotle after the movie because how hungry I was. I wasn't
Yeah.
when
You weren't engrossed with the film and what
when
it
you
was
lose
trying to do.
when you lose Grayson Maxwell, you've lost 90% of your audience. I'm the guy that doesn't that doesn't ever get unattached to a movie, and you and Chris know that.
Hmm.
Sorry, you and Roger know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, and that's to me is like that's a telling thing. Is if I'm out, everyone's out. So
Yeah. Again, it's just I feel like it's just weird decisions that are made that like undo it. Like once you get to the end of this movie, it feels like that the movie itself is like it gets in its own way, is its own enemy because like it undoes a lot of good that it did early on. Because now you have to think about oh well this didn't mean that or this meant that or like all this other stuff. Like it's again people just be murdered out here and ain't nobody batting eyelashes and it's just an odd thing to go through with like such an interesting and important subject matter. I think like is just underneath the surface here, and it just goes on a weird ride. And it feels like someone was either really insecure in their decision making, or they were super secure in their decision making. Either one isn't a good thing. I don't think like
well,
this needed a middle ground
you know
treatment.
what was the you know what was like the one of like the most cringiest moments I've come across a while in film, and this is coming from me who's watching all bunch of low budget horror films recently on
Yeah.
Prime, is when his brother's giving him he's like giving him a haircut to look good for the cameras,
Yeah.
and the clipper gets one of the staples in his head. That I I about threw up. It was so bad. I was like, ugh! Like I couldn't. I don't know why that bothered me so much. It just
Well, like,
I can't imagine the pain associated with that though. How can you
well,
not just don't do that? I just
yeah. It's not even like the pain. So it's like that would like I thought that was kind of like how does the brother
not
not
exactly.
touch the stitches of his recent brain surgery? You know what I mean? Like, you know, like come on. Like, you know, I know they paint brother as like the not favorite kid, but like, you know, he can't be that dumb, right? Like let me cut you a nice fade. And then like proceed to rip your stitches out of your skull with this clipper. By the way, those clippers wouldn't do any of that, you know, to those
Nope.
staples. But it's again, these are like okay, like you're on this ride thinking, waiting for like some weird shoe to drop, but nothing does. They drop a bomb instead, and like, oh, and I don't know. I expected more out of this thing. Like the subject that it was tackling, the people involved, no matter what level they're at, you know, like I felt like there was going to be something a little bigger here, and this is proof that sometimes a bad story can't or bad writing can't be saved by really good acting, really great cinematography, fantastic visuals and sound. In the end, bad writing is bad writing, and it can
A
really
bad
make something
script
cool.
is a bad script meant to be a good movie is that is bad, and I'm glad you brought it up, and I know you brought it up. This is like the second time you brought it up, and I'm glad you
Yeah.
did because Marlon Wayans and Tyreek Withers, phenomenal.
Oh
Like
yeah. Great
the
in this.
performances, not I mean the judgment in their in like how they see a situation and proceed after that might be a little flawed, but that's because you think there's something deeper going on, and like
Yeah.
maybe it's because he's in a dream and he's not. But then you find out well then that then you realize he's not, and you're like, well, that makes that stupid because that sequence is in the trailer when he's hiking the ball and he's supposed to within 2 seconds he's supposed to turn around and find the receiver and hit him and then have
Yeah.
him catch it. And every time he misses, they 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 feed a football into like the auto launcher
Hmm.
right into
Yeah.
someone's face. I'm like, I think once or twice would probably do some irreparable damage.
Yeah.
Like it might even kill you. I don't know, maybe not kill you, but it would certainly you would not be normal after that. And
Yeah.
it happens several times. And he doesn't he says something, but he doesn't like, hey, stop. He doesn't like pull the plug from the whole thing, which I thought was weird too. So I thought, okay, I'm definitely watching a sequence that's in his head and nowhere else. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And then it just I'm disappointed by that. 'Cause I think you could have had even a better ending if he were to after he cuts that guy's head off at the end of the movie with the sword, in after he cuts that guy's head off in the end of the movie in the stadium with a sword, the football movie where a one quarterback's trying to make a better quarterback is how all this things come into play. Who knows?
It's a weird line to give without
But then you,
context.
have him wake up and then go to the Marlon Wayans place, and then instead of the weird shit happening, you can then capitalize on again the religious aspect, the kind of the racial tones that they were offering
Hmm.
is like then you could
Yeah.
capitalize on that and then really send that stuff home and like maybe he really is the Jesus figure here, and
Yeah.
Isaiah sees it and then kind of steps out of the way because he's old enough that he understands. They tell that story about the torch being passed down, and then they tell the story about some tribes of ancient people. They would put the blood of the strongest person, or somehow like maybe ingest some of they'd
Yeah.
make them eat something. So the warriors then got the strongest warrior in them, and they tell that story, so you know that's coming. And it's just how this all plays out is odd in a way that I don't think. I just there's more to the picture here that we're missing,
Hmm.
and I guess that's why I'm so upset because this movie could have been something. I
Yeah.
guess is my
Yep. It, I mean, I think you said it pretty well there. This movie this movie really does kind of undoes the good work that it does in the very beginning, because in the beginning there's ambiguity, and like it's making you ask good questions of the film itself, and then it doesn't commit to that. It does something else entirely. And here's the thing, like what you said and what you suggest is fine, but you know, as our brother in the Appalachian mountains looking for Sasquatch would say, that's not the movie we got, you know.
Correct.
And
I did
and
I
here's the
did the
thing.
thing. I did the thing, but yeah.
The other piece is, though, it's like, you know, like it does us no good to like talk about ways that could fix this movie, you know, because it's like somebody made decisions they did, and this is where it's at. And unfortunately, the product's just not as good as what, you know, we thought it was going to be, right? So I mean, I feel better after you told me the ratings of this thing, that like I feel better about my thumbs down, because I thought maybe I just didn't get it, you know, maybe it just doesn't connect with me like it will everybody else. But I'm happy to hear that, you know, in a weird way. I'm not happy that the movie's bad, but I'm happy to be like justified, and like, oh well, I didn't think this was very good, and I was worried that like I was going to be on an island with that, but it doesn't seem to be the
Rotten
case.
Tomatoes 98, Metacritic 97, like
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
right.
yeah.
Like, oh god, what's wrong with me?
That's
Yeah,
no, it's just there's no way that this thing it's not even a full it's not even a full story told. That's the thing, is like they don't
yeah.
explain anything, and on top
So
of not explaining anything, there's not even a full arc that happens.
yeah,
So I mean,
well, like, the budget for this thing was like 30 mil or something like that, or like ballparked in there. You said at, you know, at top of the show that this thing made like 13. It's after this week, there's no way this thing does anything, right? Like, I'll be surprised if this thing does 4 million next week. It's This
I
thing's
won't
gonna,
even it won't even I'd be surprised if it did even that. Like, I don't even think it's gonna
yeah,
touch that, but
yeah. This thing's gonna crater pretty hard, because I don't think the word of mouth is gonna do it any favors.
well, what's
So,
coming out next week? That's I'm checking right now.
hmm.
Sorry, I should have had this one up because I
No,
gotta
you're good.
close out the show with it anyway. But yeah, I don't think this movie has any umph left in it. I don't even think it's because a movie like this, you'd think that one of the you think the back end would be huge on streaming. If it were decent, this thing would be streamed by millions and millions of kids and
What
football
if?
players
Ooh,
and you know.
I have a theory.
Okay, what's your theory?
What if this thing, because Jordan Peele's name is all over it, what if it got a pre-released streaming deal? Like, maybe that was
The
the
play and
goal of
saying,
put.
well, it didn't make a lot of money because it was on streaming. Then they could at least fall back on
Well,
that. And
okay. I'm thinking the opposite direction. I'm thinking that they were able to sell this thing to one of the streaming services, because it's got Jordan Peele's name all over it. Say, hey, do you want first shot at this? We'll cut a deal with you right now for X millions of dollars for you guys to be able to have this on yours exclusively for the first 4 months. And they're like, oh, it's got Jordan Peele on it. All right, yeah, cool, yeah, grab that thing up. That might be an angle why Jordan Peele's all over this thing name wise, is because they want to sell it before it comes out and have like a pre-streaming deal already lined up with somebody.
oh, you mean lined up? You mean not? Okay, okay. I won't. I went the other way with it. You mean like
Yeah,
so?
yeah, yeah.
As soon as it's done theatrically, like Netflix was like, "Oh, we'll give you this much," and they accepted. Then it would
Mm,
be right in Netflix like 2 weeks after. I
exactly.
got you. I got
Yep.
you.
Yeah, and like and Netflix is like, oh, we're getting a Jordan Peele work, awesome. But then it's like, it's this thing, and it's not quite as good.
And
So,
then the guy looks at it and like Jordan Peele's name is gone and Justin Tipping's is there and it's disappeared. He's like, son of a bitch! I was hoodwinked.
oh
I was
man,
hoodwinked.
I'd
But
be pissed if I was that guy.
I mean, your career would be over because you'd pay premium for Peele and then you get a
Hmm.
Justin Tipping. So you're paying
Hey,
for.
I mean, I don't want to put any slander on Justin Tipping's name quite yet, but dude didn't finish out his movie very well,
I was gonna say,
in our humble opinion.
did you watch him?
I did.
I mean, if it's but anyway, it's so. Final thoughts are, I'm a little disappointed by what we got because I don't think it was. I think the trailer we got painted a far better movie, but that's very often the case.
Yeah.
So, well, it certainly presented me with. I thought I was going to get a more interesting version of this than what we got.
Hmm.
It's like my final thoughts are I'm just disappointed, and I wish we'd have gotten in the different version of this that allowed for that really kind of honored Marlon Wayans and Tyreek Withers their performance in a way that made sense on screen to like
Yeah.
tie this in a bow that like badass movie that was, and it just wasn't.
Yeah. My final thoughts on him, produced by Jordan Peele, is that um that I don't want to take away anything from like the works that they put into this and their accomplishments in here. Like you already alluded to, the actors, everyone else that's involved in this, and even old JT, you know what I mean, Justin Tipping, you know, like like the movie had me at first. I just think that this is, this can be looked at down the road when when you're Justin Tipping's looking back, and when people are looking back on like Justin Tipping's first big movie was him. Like it can be seen as something that like, all right, you know, not a bad showing. This, but this led into like this great movie or this great thing that he did, or like he did another thing with, with the young kid from this one. It was like and they made a really good movie after that. Like you know this just you know this one just doesn't end well, and that's how I felt when it ended. I was just I was a little flabbergasted and a lot let down, and because this movie does have a good premise and a good story that it's trying to tell, it just something goes wrong near like the back half of it. It
I just
doesn't
don't.
translate.
It's not going to translate well for J Tip. Just a tip. Just see how it feels. It's not going to translate
Stop
well
that!
for him.
Don't do that.
Um, well, if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't. Um, I just and next week is, I mean, Gabby's Dollhouse, one battle after another, and The Strangers Chapter 2. One battle
Mm.
after another, and The Strangers Chapter 2 are the same demographic. And
Those are more where we're looking.
wait, sorry, what?
I said those are probably more where we're looking, right?
Yeah,
Next
of
week, yeah,
course. And then the week after is a Smashing Machine, and that's going to absorb everything that him would possibly have anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
so I mean, it's just it's I don't I don't even know what they were hoping for, because if the budget's 30, they've made 13.5. They'll be this thing will be lucky to top out at 18 and a half. So I just don't
I
know what
hope.
they were looking for.
I know. I hope it gets a second wind at maybe in a few weeks or something, but I don't expect this to do much better than its third act did. It'll probably fall super short of its expectations, because that's what happened with my viewing of it.
On another note, we're 3 weeks away from Tron. How awesome is that?
I'm not excited for Tron like you guys are, but
What?
that's just me.
I
I got a
cannot
bad feeling
believe.
about Tron, man. I
Why
got
had
a
a bad
bad
feeling
feeling
about
about that
him?
movie.
I was excited. I'm excited for
Okay.
Tron, and you had a bad feeling. I had a bad feeling about him. You were excited for him. So maybe it'll just be two bad movies in a row, which
I
is
hope not.
really gonna suck for AFs for movie theaters. But
I really
um,
hope that Tron is fantastic, because I'm gonna go watch it, and I'm a sci-fi guy, but
I really
I
hope you
gotta.
decide to rewatch Tron Legacy again, and that right
I need to.
before.
I need to. Yeah,
Tron
I
Legacy is
probably will.
excellent, man. Listen to
Oh
the
yeah. No,
music. It's the music.
yep.
It's that final scene with them trying to
I
get to the
watched
portal. Oh
Tron.
man,
I watched Tron back in a time where I watched movies like just like some average dude that didn't care. So I think a rewatch of Tron Legacy will do it some justice.
fair enough. Well,
Cool.
thank you for joining me for this episode,
Yeah.
and we wish Roger a safe return from his Sasquatch hunting.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
don't know. We'll hear from him in a few days and see what happens. But thank you for joining me, Chris. Once
Yeah. No
again,
problem.
folks, this has been episode 48 of Post Credits Podcast, a show where we're lucky enough to talk about movies with you. If you listen to this episode on an audio only service such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Podbean, feel free to head over to YouTube, check us out there, like and
Je tout.
subscribe for more Sasquatch content. Turn us on while you're doing work or whatever you're doing in the background. And we look forward to seeing you next week.
Next week.